Alright, this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Hyperstone Heist for the Sega Genesis. If you were a kid and you were growing up in the 80s, there's a very good chance you were watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We loved this shit. We bought their lunch boxes, their clothing, their movies, and their VHS tapes, all their toys. Oh man, we just loved the Ninja Turtles. And needless to say, there was a lot of Ninja Turtles video games. This one here came out for the Sega Genesis in August of 1992. And I actually thought this one came out way later than Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo. Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo, also published by Konami. I remember that game literally the day it came out because my buddy at the time, not me unfortunately, my buddy at the time had a Super Nintendo, and that game came out and we rented it. And you know, later on I kind of vaguely remember there being a Ninja Turtles game for the Sega Genesis, but I thought it came out way later. But it actually came out around the same time, and it's a very similar game. Of course, they came out around the same time, both published by Konami. They share some of the same levels, some of the same graphics. They share all of the same music and all of the same sound effects. So it's a very similar game, just a different storyline and some different levels. From what I can remember on the Super Nintendo version, there was a lot more levels. In this one, there's only 5 levels. And it's not really that difficult to game. I actually played this for the first time last night with a buddy going through it 2-player. It was my first time playing the game, and it was his first time playing the game. And we beat it in like 40 minutes, you know, first try. So it's not really a long game, it's not really a hard game. From what I've heard, Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo does have more levels, but they're actually shorter. So overall, the Super Nintendo version is not really much longer, and I've actually heard that this one's harder. Like I said, it's been so many years since I played Turtles in Time, I can't say for sure, but you know, this one's not that hard, so if it's even easier on the Super Nintendo, it would definitely be another game you could go through first try in, you know, under an hour. Graphics, they did a very good job on the Sega Genesis. Konami's always been pretty good with the Genesis. Obviously, Super Nintendo fanboys are gonna chime in now. You know, the graphics may not be quite as colorful as some of the levels on the Super Nintendo version, but they did a very good job on the Genesis, and in many respects, the graphics are very close. Once again, I've heard that the animation's a little bit smoother or a little bit faster on the Genesis version, and that wouldn't surprise me because that's true with a lot of Genesis games. It's very good at fast animation, lots of sprites on the screen, so you know, there's a few levels on the Super Nintendo version that use some form of the Mode 7 features. so there's maybe a little bit more 3D scrolling. There's some parts where you can actually throw the enemies towards the screen. I remember that being a pretty cool effect on the Super Nintendo game. That's not in here, but what you do have instead is some of the levels have a little bit more layers of scrolling. It's not necessarily that, you know, one version's better than the other. You know, they're different. And, you know, different levels, different storylines. I'd say if you know, have a Super Nintendo, pick up Turtles in Time. If you have a Genesis, pick up the Hyperstone Heist. And if you have both, well, I don't know, that's up for you to either make a decision, or if you're a really big fan of these games, pick them both up. Might not exactly be the most easy game to find. I wouldn't say it's rare, but it's a little harder to find than other Genesis games. Let's just say this is the first time I've ever seen it, is this copy I bought. As you saw in the beginning of the video, it's just a loose cartridge, and it's not in perfect condition. But I've never seen it before, so I pretty much just grabbed it. Local sale, picked it up for $10, so that's not too bad. If you can find this game, definitely pick it up. But if you already have Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo, and you know, maybe you're not sure if you should buy this one, I'd probably say don't bother. You know, use that money for something else. Music, once again, they did a very good job on the Sega Genesis. Once again, I haven't played Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo in many, many years. From what I've heard, they use the same music, so does it sound better on the Super Nintendo? I don't know, but it does sound pretty good on the Genesis. Like I said, they did a pretty good job on the Genesis in the music department, so overall this is a pretty well done game. Could be a little bit longer. As you can see, we're already at Super Shredder. And you know, I actually found Super Shredder to be probably a little bit easier than some of the previous bosses. There's a definite pattern to him, but once you figure out the pattern, once you figure out sort of the little secret to beating him, when you can hit him specifically, he's actually not that hard. And as you can see, he's dead there, and it's the end of the game, so enjoy.